Real-life black heroes of the West come to life in the new #1 Netflix film, The Harder They Fall. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film sitting currently as we record at #1 on Netflix's streaming chart, The Harder They Fall. And before we get into this movie, I do want to welcome you into my channel, Dan Reviews It. Please consider subscribing down below there, or just like or comment on this video. That helps the channel out as well. And boy, let's dive into this thing. This is something that we don't usually see, sort of black movies of the West. It's such a traditionally white-focused format. We've had a few changes to that in recent years. Of course, Denzel heading up the Magnificent Seven remake. But this movie is based on real people. And most of them, like a lot of black history I'm learning about in new times, we did not learn about this stuff in school. We really didn't. I had heard of one of the people from this movie, Stagecoach Mary, who's played by Zazie Beetz. But these other people, I don't remember hearing these names. Nat Love, Rufus Buck, Trudy Smith, Cherokee Bill, Bass Reeves. No, these are new names to me, and I'm happy to hear their story. Of course, this is a bit of a fictionalized account, but based on these people and sort of the legends surrounding them. And talk about a who's who of black actors of today. I mean, listen to this murderer's row here of a cast. Jonathan Majors as Nat Love, Idris Elba as Rufus Buck. I mentioned Zazie Beetz. Regina King here as Trudy Smith. Delroy Lindo as Bass Reeves, and Lakeith Stanfield as Cherokee Bill. I mean, come on. These are such huge names. And, Regina King and Idris Elba certainly have had, longer standing careers and are doing so well. But a lot of these, Delroy Lindo too, I should put him in that category. But some of these others, big time up and comers. Jonathan Majors, we just saw in Lovecraft Country. Highly recommend that if you have not seen it. No season 2, unfortunately, for that. But I don't know if I saw him before that or not. I'd probably seen him in some bit parts. I feel like I'd seen him in a couple of movies, but in that he was basically the star, and here he's the star as well. And then you've got Lakeith Stanfield as well, who he keeps wowing everybody with his movies. So the cast is certainly on point. And interesting is that in a few of the minor parts we have more comedic actors doing a little bit of shtick, a little bit of funny stuff, but a bit dramatic as well. Damon Wayans Jr., who I've only really ever seen do comedy, and then Dion Cole from Blackish and from the old Conan O'Brien show. He has a little bit of a bit, but he is a little bit serious here as well, which we don't usually see. So this is really the only Western I can think of. I'm not a huge Western buff, but the only one I can think of with a predominantly black cast. We really don't get that. And the whole Western thing, that goes back to the old days of filmmaking. I believe either the first or second, short film ever made was about the Great Train Robbery, it was called, and it was, sort of an Old West tale. I mean, it makes sense because that was in like 1850 or 1898 or like 1901 or something like that, where Western stuff actually was still kind of recent. But even, on 50s television, unless it was a family sitcom or a detective show, it was an Old West show. And, Gunsmoke ran for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. So, but all of that, all white all the time. So it's really interesting to learn that, there were some of these, a lot of them former slaves that became outlaws. And we've seen, the only other one I can think of other than Magnificent Seven is if you consider Django Unchained a Western, which it sort of is. There's obviously, a big black cast there as well. But this is certainly a rare example and interesting to check out on Netflix for sure. But I do think it may have been enhanced by the full screen theatrical experience. And that's something I talk about a lot, I think, in my movie reviews lately, because so many movies have gone to streaming, because my TVs are not that big. A lot of people I know have these, huge 70-inch, 90-inch TVs. Cool. Mine's probably like 35 inches. It's not huge. So when I watch a movie like this on my TV, I can only imagine, wow, imagine the spectacle this would be on the big screen. And I think this is one of them that could have been enhanced by that big screen experience. Samuel directed this, and as far as I can tell, he's a first time film director, but he's done a lot of things. He's most known for his musicianship. He's a British musician. He's actually Seal's brother. Seal's real last name is Samuel, so they are brothers. But as I was watching this, I was sort of getting this Baz Luhrmann type vibe because the music was certainly more contemporary, more modern than we would normally hear in a Western. Some hip hop there, some, EDM beats, some R&B maybe, against this Old West backdrop. And it actually reminded me a little bit of The Great Gatsby. And that's, of course, Baz Luhrmann. But as I read into this dude, James Samuel, he was the music producer on The Great Gatsby. So he's taking sort of some of those ideas and putting them instead of the Roaring Twenties into the Old West. And I actually think it works. It works pretty well. I think the biggest drawback of this film is that there really is, and I think it's a reason I have not cottoned really to this genre. It's a genre that I think is quite repetitive. And so the storyline here doesn't really explore many new things. Yes, these are people that we have not really heard much about yet. And certainly the African American identity of this movie certainly sets it apart. But in terms of the base plot, I mean, it's all pretty standard stuff. Shootouts at the OK Corral and, revenge and this and that. Now the opening scene is pretty, solid. We see a younger version of the Nat Love character sort of get branded with a cross on his forehead as he watches the rest of his family at the dinner table get killed. And that's, a great stunner of an opener. Love that. I actually didn't know if they were going to kill the kid in that opening scene, but no, it turns out, he grows up to be, the great Jonathan Majors. So, okay. That was a good opening. But for an over 2-hour movie, what is this? 2 hours and 17 minutes? 19 minutes. So it gets a little long on the tooth. I think they certainly could have trimmed maybe 15 minutes off of this. And the other big complaint I have, and I never thought it would be a complaint about Regina King and her acting. She is one of my favorite actresses around, but her accent, whatever she's going for, is terrible. Her best scene by far is a shootout that she has about 20 minutes before the end of the movie. Very well done, well choreographed, exciting, and she's not talking for most of it. She needs a dialect coach. I love her. I've never had any complaints about her acting or her directing. I loved One Night in Miami from last year, but this accent was rough, took me out of the movie. But everybody else around her is doing a great job. I wouldn't say Idris Elba is necessarily putting everything into it. I think he actually did a better job in the Netflix movie earlier this year. Was it called Cocaine Cowboys or something? I forget what it was called. Something Cowboys, but he was basically a horse rancher, and I thought he really gave a better performance there than here. He's fine, but I think from Idris Elba we sort of expect this like A plus level acting. This was like B plus. It's good, but Jonathan Majors outstanding here. Delroy Lindo, he's always good. Lakeith Stanfield again, always good. So this movie on the whole is a positive for me, but definitely a few things that I would have tweaked. I definitely would have made it a little bit shorter. I would have given Regina King an accent coach or something. And, again, the plot, it's hard to do a lot of different things with Old West movies, and again, it's probably why they are not among my favorites, but there's certainly some that stand out. And, like True Grit from 11 years ago, 2010, I believe it was. I'll always remember that. That was a remake, I know, but that was a great movie. And this one does not quite live up to that, but it's certainly memorable for me in the Western genre. The Harder They Fall gets a B from me. So that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.